The Monster is a pretty good film. This was released in 1925. It's directed by Roland West, and it's written by West with a cast including Lon Chaney, Gertrude Olmstead, Hallam Cooley, Johnny Arthur, and various others. And it's about these individuals, including an amateur detective, who are investigating some peculiar events. And they end up, I don't want to go into too much detail, but they end up going into this sanitarium where strange and bizarre things are happening. And in theory, it gets quite scary. Now, a film from the 1920s is not likely to be scary for today's audience, but I will say it does have a very creepy atmosphere. The atmosphere is absolutely brilliant. We have some very mysterious figures, some really interesting characters. The set designs look absolutely brilliant. And I really rather enjoyed it. There's something very charming about some of the earlier horror films. And a lot of them are quite similar with the kinds of characters they bring forward, and that's certainly the case here. But the narrative itself is maybe not the most predictable, and I really enjoyed watching the story unfold. The pacing's not too bad. The atmosphere is a lot of fun. It's not scary. I'd be very surprised if anybody today, 100 years later, in fact, let me check and see when exactly in 1925 this was released. According to IMDb, this was released in the States on the 16th of March, 1925. So just over 100 years ago. So I would be surprised if anybody finds this really scary by today's standards, but it still has a creepy, eerie atmosphere, and it's just absolutely beautiful. There's also something about the absence of a colour palette, of course, that gives it another eerie quality. That's something really charming about the earlier horror films. So it's a decent story, well-executed narrative, nice eerie atmosphere, really great characters and performances, really fun set designs. It's a lot of fun. If you like older horror films, in particular, if you like films from the 1920s, I'd say this is definitely worth watching. I wouldn't say expect something terrifying. By today's standards, it's not usually the case with the older horror films. For me personally, I feel like horror films don't begin to get scary for today's audience until maybe the 70s. Obviously, it depends on what scares you, because everybody has different thresholds and different things that scare them. But for me personally, I'd say about the 70s is when things start to get scary by today's standards. But nevertheless, it's a lot of fun, really enjoyable story, great casting characters, great performances, fun set designs. I think The Monster is one that's definitely worth watching.